what you can do for your country. These are the words spoken from the youngest and first Roman Catholic president ever to be elected, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. The great and all-American president that's career in the White House, along with his life, was sadly cut short. He was born on May 29, 1917, and was assassinated on November 22, 1963. His time spent as a U.S. president was from January 20, 1961, until his death. You may not be able to recite every U.S. president ever to be in office, but John F. Kennedy is one that most, if not all, are familiar with. People around the country found it easy to relate to him because he was young and had a nice family and was a charming personality. He got the younger generation to be involved and interested in the politics at the time. He is also a very popular figure of a conspiracy plot that had been put against him in his assassination, which is widely spread and debated by people to this day. So why did I choose JFK as our speaker? There are a few different reasons. He was a huge influence on America at the time. He piqued the interest of many people because of his stature, family, and stuff. He also came from a large family that are still politically and socially active to this day. The family has been known to have the Kennedy curse due to a number of tragic and extraordinary events, including 2 assassinations and other controversial issues. On another note, John F. Kennedy was known as being a great leader, public speaker, and being intelligent. And although his time as president was cut short, he did accomplish some great things. He was a part of the space race and was eager to put man on the moon, which was accomplished. He also initiated the Civil Rights Movement in 1964. And also when Russia had missiles directed at the U.S. from Cuba, he took action and didn't let the Russian troops cross through the American waters. Now that you're familiar with JFK, I'll talk about this.
During his lifetime, Kennedy succeeded in public speaking as a president, and he gave out many outstanding speeches. And I picked out 2 of his work, and I think it has the most influence in the world. So the first one was "We Choose to Go to the Moon." John Kennedy first presented the proposed plan, "We Choose to Go to the Moon," to Congress in May 1961. And his speeches at Rice University in Houston, Texas in 1962 reaffirmed the plan. He said, "I believe that this nation should commit to achieving the goal before," he said, "he gets out of landing a man to the moon and returning him to the earth safely." Through his speech, Kennedy ignited the dream that human beings can always reach a higher goal. That goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energy and skills. We, all mankind, are willing to accept challenges and intend to win the challenge, and unwilling to postpone. Even though the plan would cost a lot of money, but the benefit it will bring back to us is significantly large. Satellites will help us direct the ship in the sea to steer a safer course. Give us a warning of hurricanes and storms. The development of science and education will be enriched by new knowledge of our universe and our environment. He concluded his speech that, well, space is there, and we are going to climb it, and the moon and the planets are there, and new hopes for knowledge and peace are there. The next of his work is a Civil Rights Act of 1964. He delivered his speech the first time in January 1961. He said, "All this will not be finished in the first 100 days, nor will be finished in the first 1,000 days, nor in the lifetime of this administration, nor even perhaps in our lifetime. But let us begin." He understood all the difficulties of changing people's perspective about black people, but he dares to change it. He said, "We are committed to a worldwide struggle to promote and protect the rights of all who wish to be free. We preach freedom around the world, and we mean it, and we we cherish our freedom here. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed a year after he was assassinated, and that was a start to have blacks and white people treated equally. Now let's move to the next report.
Thank you, Mom. Albeit unintentional, his Boston accent, his full head of hair, his youth and good looks made a favorable first impression, the attention getter. He used his extraordinary command of the English language to inspire, to persuade. His "ask not what your country can do for you" in his inaugural speech wouldn't have been the same had he used everyday parlance. He was a very learned man. He had profound knowledge and intellectual curiosity in history, science, and the fine arts. At the same time, he knew his audience, and it may be said that he spoke to the person farthest away. In a country the size of America, that was important. He used American history in his speeches to reinforce the American identity and imbue positive societal values. This is very evident in the Civil Rights speech and in his peace speech encouraging American and Soviet people to end the Cold War. Every speech was well organized and relied on common sense and logical flow. This too is evident in the Civil Rights speech. He appealed to America's heart and sense of right and wrong to do the right thing. He almost always made his speeches behind a podium, as presidents do. To compensate, he modulated his voice, turned his body right and left to address his audience. He used appropriate hand gestures for emphasis. His signature was his unique speech rhythm. The list goes on. His sense of humor enabled him to easily develop a rapport with his audience. He projected calm, confidence, and strength. He projected pride, but not arrogance. How he inspired us. Rob?
He's a very inspirational figure. First of all, he chose a life of public service, which ultimately resulted in him losing his own. And like I said previously, initiated the Civil Rights Movement, which is a very bold thing to do. He challenged Americans and the Soviets to end the Cold War. He was also very humble and openly acknowledged his errors, particularly in the Bay of Pigs invasion. He was very patriotic, intelligent, considerate, and reasonable. He was a graduate of Harvard. He majored in science and actually wrote 2 books. He had a positive attitude and encouraged public service and volunteerism.
It is known in the scriptures and it is clear in the American Constitution. The part of the question is whether all Americans are to be afforded equal rights and equal opportunities. Whether we are going to treat our fellow Americans as we want them to be. If an American, because his skin is dark, cannot eat lunch in a restaurant open to the public, if he cannot send his children to the best public school available, if he cannot vote for the public officials he represents, if in short he cannot enjoy the full and free life which all of us want, who among us would be content to have the color of his skin changed and stand in his place? who among us would then be content with the council's patience and delay